Let's take a look at some other stories in the headlines. North Korea has reported the death at the age of 94 of the ruling family's former head of propaganda. Kim Gi-nam, for 6 decades, was honed their party's message that only the Kim dynasty could lead the country to prosperity. As head of Pyongyang's propaganda department, Kim played a pivotal role during the famine of the 1990s, with the party crediting him with keeping the public loyal. Hong Kong's appeal court has approved the formal banning of a protest song previously used as a rallying call by pro-democracy campaigners. A lower court last year rejected the government's application to outlaw the song Glory to Hong Kong, but officials have now successfully appealed against that decision. Amnesty International described the ruling as a worrying sign of the authorities' growing unwillingness to respect human rights and uphold their obligations. Thailand is to relist cannabis as a narcotic, 2 years after becoming the first country in Asia to decriminalize its recreational use. The Prime Minister, Sita Thavisin, said he wants usage restricted to medical and health purposes only. He said drugs were destroying Thailand's future, with too many young people addicted. The domestic retail market for marijuana has flourished in Thailand since legalization. Australia is to raise the amount of savings international students will need to get a visa in order to study in the country. It has also warned several colleges of fraudulent student recruitment practices as part of efforts to rein in record migration. From Friday, international students must show proof of savings of at least $20,000 in order to get their visa. Now, Malaysia says it will start giving orangutans as gifts to major trading partners who buy its palm oil. Now, the government says it hopes to generate the same goodwill as China does with its panda diplomacy. And the development comes amid concern that the forests where the orangutans live are being chopped down to make way for palm oil plantations. Animal protection groups say it would be better to concentrate on preserving these animals in the wild rather than handing them out as gifts. The BBC's World Service Asia-Pacific editor, Michael Bristow, has more.
At a conference, the Commodities and Plantations Minister expressed his desire to essentially gift orangutans to countries, major countries that trade with Malaysia when it comes to palm oil. We're talking about India, China, European Union countries, essentially as a goodwill gesture to try and convince those countries that Malaysia is serious about not just developing its economy and palm oil in particular, but also protecting the natural habitats which are vital for orangutans. And by giving these mammals, these animals, these apes to these countries, it's sort of like a token of their desire to keep them alive. It's an amazing crop in many respects, palm oil, because many people might not know, but it's in so many products. It's used for cooking, it's used for biofuels, it's used in cosmetics, detergents, all kinds of things. And there's many products all across the world that use palm oil. It's also pretty efficient to grow. You get a lot of oil out of a small amount of fruit. Unfortunately, it grows in tropical areas, and these are the areas where most of the remaining natural forests still survive. And in many cases, these natural forests are simply cut down and plantations are planted in their place. And these plantations, palm oil plantations, they're often referred to as green deserts because they just don't hold anywhere near the biodiversity that you might find in a natural tropical forest.
Now, the flame for this year's Paris Olympics has arrived on French soil after completing its Mediterranean crossing from Greece to the port of Marseille. It will be one of the longest Olympic torch relays in history. Over the next 10 weeks, about 10,000 people, ranging from sports stars to survivors of terrorist attacks and a 102-year-old veteran of the French resistance, will take turns to carry the symbolic flame. The torch will travel through more than 400 French towns and territories, and notable locations on the itinerary include Mont Saint-Michel and the Normandy beaches of the D-Day landings and the Space Center in Kourou. in French Guiana. And before we go, let's tell you about a family of lions that have been rescued from Ukraine and have been released into their new home at a wildlife park in South Yorkshire. Issa and her three 18-month-old cubs, Emmy, Santa and Teddy, were rescued from the Donetsk region. They arrived in the Yorkshire Wildlife Park in March and have spent the last 2 months in rehabilitation. The park said it was heartwarming to see the family reunited.